Hello YouTube, how are you guys doing today? I'm having a wonderful day and it's a wonderful life and everything's quite wonderful, but we're going to talk about something not so wonderful, and that is reality. So we're talking about The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli, translation by Harvey C. Mansfield. This is a good book. I hope you guys get it and read it. So let's talk. So how am I going to make Machiavelli moral? That's the question, right? And I'm going to do that by essentially ignoring some of his ideas and taking up others of his ideas, because making Machiavelli immoral is just as easy to do as making him moral. So let's talk. So Machiavelli takes the world as it is and not as it should be. He doesn't create imagined realities in the clouds like Plato. He takes men as they are. And this is partially true. I don't agree totally with that idea. He says men are fickle and they're acquisitive and they're easy to manipulate and they change sides very easily. You know, it's really hard to maintain loyalty, things like that. There's truth to that. Obviously, there is the dark side of man, and the light has all the opposite qualities, right? So he's right about that. But before we talk about how we can make Machiavelli moral, let's talk about how we can make him immoral. Two concepts that I think Machiavelli's ideas, Machiavelli's view makes him immoral. So first, it's the idea of the end justifying the means. So if you take Machiavelli's idea that the ends, no matter, the ends for Machiavelli are moral, or moral mostly, and they're based on stability, order, creating a peaceful polity. But he says the means to use to get to those ends, you can do whatever. Like he talks about, people who have done the most inhumane things to create a humane world, right? So he talks about the ends justifying the means. And then another problem with Machiavelli is this idea that persona and appearance matter much more than reality for the prince, right? It matters for the prince. You have to look loyal and true and moral and virtuous and all of these things in order to appease the great and the people, right? So it's important to look virtuous and to look effective, but in actuality, you can appoint people, that do the most terrible things in order to secure your power. So, yeah, those are two ways that Machiavelli is immoral. But I think I can point out some more later if the video doesn't go too long. So now let's make Machiavelli moral. So I'm gonna cherry pick some quotes and show you how he's not such a bad guy. All right, thank you. All right, let's start with this first quote. For since men almost always walk on paths beaten by others, and proceed in their actions by imitation, unable either to stay on the paths of others altogether or to attain the virtue of those whom you imitate, a prudent man should always enter upon the paths beaten by great men, and imitate those who have been most excellent, so that if his own virtue does not reach that far, it at least has the odor of it. So this first quote shows us that we need to imitate the great. Let's move on to the next quote. Yet one cannot call it virtue to kill one's citizens, betray one's friends, to be without faith, without mercy, without religion. These modes can enable one to acquire empire, but not glory. For if one considers the virtue of Agathocles in entering into and escaping from dangers, and the greatness of his spirit in enduring and overcoming adversities, one does not see why he has to be judged inferior to any most excellent captain. Nonetheless, his savage cruelty and inhumanity, together with his infinite crimes, do not permit him to be celebrated among the most excellent men. So what is this? What is he saying essentially, right? Combine this with the first quote. We have to imitate the greats. And my first book I wrote, it's called Light. I quote Jesus, Buddha, Socrates, Krishna, all of these greats, and I try to build my life on their values. Let's continue. And as one examines their actions and lives, one does not see that they had anything else from fortune than the opportunity, which gave them the matter, enabling them to introduce any form they please. Without that opportunity, their virtue of spirit would have been eliminated. And without that virtue, the opportunity would have come in vain. So what is virtue? It's related to excellence. For Machiavelli, virtue means the ability to act with a vision in mind, with an end in mind. So Machiavelli wants to create a prince who's able to deal with the harsh realities of politics while simultaneously keeping a vision, an ideal vision of a peaceful community or a peaceful state in his mind. So let's continue on to the next quote. Besides this, one cannot satisfy the great with decency and without injury to others, but one can satisfy the people, for the end of the people is more decent than that of the great, since the great want to oppress and the people want not to be oppressed. Furthermore, a prince can never secure himself against a hostile people as they are too many. Against the great, he can secure himself as they are few. So all of this to say that Machiavelli definitely takes the side of the people and the common man. And, you know, in our modern age, that's always a virtue in itself. So yeah, these quotes together really give a view of Machiavelli that's not focused so much on statecraft, but more focused on imitating the lives of the great men of the world, right? So, yeah, that's what I want to leave you with. Have a great day.